I spent 7 days in Shanghai, and today I'll take you to some of the cool places that you can shop, eat and sightsee. And most importantly, I'll tell you if these places are worth your time or you can just skip past it completely. So this is day 0. So here what we pretty much did was to walk around malls and ate at this restaurant which was quite popular on Xiaohongshu and pretty near our place. It's a bit of like a Hong Kong style restaurant. So in general this place deserves like a 4 out of 10. If you're near it, go visit it. I would not make the special trip just to taste the food. And this is the official day 1 where we made a trip down Anfu Lu all the way to Wukang. It's quite a seamless walk. There's a lot of shops you can check out on the way. And our first stop is this shop called Times Remake. So it's like a curated vintage shop. The interior itself is really beautiful. It's very spacious. They have quite a big curation as well. They do a lot of their own sashiko remakes of jackets and jeans, which I thought was pretty cool. They do have this line where they have new products where they recreate the sun-faded vintage look onto garments. They look really cool and I would copy it, but the prices are not cheap. But that's something that I've realized as well in Shanghai, that vintage shopping here is really not cheap compared to a lot of other Southeast Asian countries. I found a few vintage tees in the same tag, same year, same condition, and only a fraction of the price available at Bangkok. So Shanghai's vintage is, even though very curated, is way too expensive for me. But Times Remake in itself is a pretty cool shop. Their curation is really huge. They even have like accessories as well. So if you're like a Chrome Hearts collector, this place would be really good to visit. And right beside it is this bird brand called Staple. It's a streetwear brand from the USA, but when we went it hasn't opened yet. In our first 2 days there were still really nice autumn colours. And along the stretch of Anfu Lu, you will find a lot of Chinese indie designers. And one thing I really realized about shopping in Shanghai is that they really care a lot about their visual merchandising. Like every single store that we went to seems kind of like an experience on its own. Like you're walking into like an art gallery almost. Here we did a quick pit stop for brunch. I didn't take any footage of the food, but the food here is really good, just trust me. The octopus leg was really nice and not rubbery at all. The pie was kind of mid, but they had this kind of like deconstructed brownie dessert. Oh, it's really good. And smaller chain coffee shops tend to taste really good here. I've tried quite a few in China itself. Most of the beans are not acidic at all. And we visited this Chinese indie designer called Common Sense, which I first found them on Taobao and realized they had a store here. They don't have a whole lot of items, but there's this work jacket that I've really been eyeing on and I got it in the end. I don't have a good clip of me wearing it, but this is me wearing it on another day. And they had this really cute sweater which I just couldn't justify buying. This store alone is worth the trip down Anfu and Wukang Lu. They have really good stuff and the prices aren't too heavy at all. We then went to this curated vintage store called Max Match Vintage. It had a lot of different jackets and just Carhartt stuff in general. The Carhartt jackets here are really expensive, costing about 200 to 300 Sing dollars, so it only makes sense if you already have something that you've been looking for. Otherwise this store you can skip completely. Next is this skate store called Sport Skate. They have a lot of their own merch, but they sold a lot of cool Palace boards, some boards that the Palace store in Japan doesn't even carry. It's worth a visit if you're into skate stuff or just t-shirts in general. And on to the next vintage store called Trophy Market. The curation here is not too bad, but the star of the show is really their Oakley collection. So they have like sunglasses all the way to bags, which I thought was really nicely curated. Prices aren't cheap here though, so again, only if you know what you already are looking for, then this place is worth a visit, or if you're an Oakley collector. And this store is called Bad Market. It houses a lot of other Chinese indie designers all in one store. Their store in Guangzhou is a little bit cooler, so do check it out if you're there as well. And there's a pretty cool record store right beside the shop. And this Nocta mini market pop-up thing that was opening, but it wasn't open the time we went. And wow, this barbecue store is easily one of the best meals I've ever had in the entire trip. The sauce and seasoning is so delicious and unique. It's different from every other Chinese barbecue I've ever had. If you go, you must order the golden mushrooms and this wuhua roll, and not the thick ones but the sliced ones. And I wish I had time to go back again. Our last stop for the day was this really touristy area called Xingtiandi. The whole layout looks like Chinese temples but with a lot of modern stuff. All we had was this tang pao, which was kind of mid. I mean, if you're not into touristy things, no point going, but if you have a lot of time, check it out. And this is day 2, where we took a day trip to the Venice of China, Zhujiajiao. So we took a public train out to the area, which cost about 8 yuan and about 1 hour 30 minutes. And the walk there was really nice, like you see a whole different part of Shanghai. And the first thing we tried is this bubble tea that we saw on Xiaohongshu. We thought it looked pretty cool, but the drink itself was really mid. And we tried this chou tofu, which is stinky tofu. It's not stinky at all, actually tastes really good. And we wanted to try some xiaolongbao from this shady looking place, which means it probably tastes better. But my judgment wasn't good, so the food was kind of mid. And there's a lot of cats in this area, like we saw a lot along the streets. And this is where you really see the whole Venice of China. And of course we had to get on the boat itself. It cost 200 yen for the whole boat, which can fit up to 6 people. But we only had the 2 of us, so we booked the whole boat. The whole boat ride took about 10 to 15 minutes-ish. In general, this place is quite huge, but a lot of the stores kind of sell the same thing. So we got bored really quickly and only stayed about 2 hours here, and then we took another 1.5 hours to go back home, where we ended our day at Nanjinglu, yet another touristy area. There's only pretty much one place to shop, which is W Management. It's like a Brandy Melville dupe, but comparatively the prices aren't cheap at all. Like, the jackets were really nice, but they cost about 60 Sing dollars. And a common thing you'll find in China is that the top looks really good until you turn it around and say something stupid. Even though it wasn't cheap, just look at the queue for checkout, it's booming. And my girlfriend got a basic top in the end for 99 yuan, which was not too bad. We stumbled upon this store where it's normally crowded and you have to queue for the food, but somehow when we came, I think it was near closing, there was nobody, and they had one exact portion left for us, where she put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, which is why it was steaming. But it tasted really good, so I can't imagine if it was fresh. I don't have the address for this place, but it's somewhere near Nanjinglu. And this is day 3, where we started our day for breakfast with champions at a zi cha place. So essentially we were deciding between these 2 stores because they are quite popular on the Xiaohongshu, but we ultimately decided to go with this one because it's just right in front of us. Their special, which is the guo bao roll, which was quite disappointing because they just tasted like lemon chicken. And we got these other dishes, but it's way too salty. Taste wise, 4 out of 10, you can skip it, or if you're really hungry, this place will be good. And let us take you to this hidden gem. It's kind of like their vintage wholesale market. So because it's winter, it's just mainly filled with jackets. But they had some really nice Fila Elise and just colour blocked jackets. Really brought me back to kind of like the 90s fashion vibes. But there will also be a few stores that kind of sell accessories as well, like these duffel bags. Stay lit! But there are a lot of fakes as well. This store sold a lot of Stussy jackets, but they're all fake. It costs 488, but it's a really good fake, so don't be fooled. And you see a lot of Carhartt workwear jackets which are all fake. The tag looks way too new to be part of a vintage item, so that's one telltale sign. But there is this one store which sold a few true vintage Carhartt jackets with really nice kind of like distressed details. And you can find gems along the way, like these DVN kind of like printed trousers. I've lost count of the days at this point, but this is a new day where we're starting it with Blue Bottle Coffee. Honestly, I only came here to look at the merch section, and they had this recent collaboration with Human Made, which kind of just looks like their uniform, but since we're here, might as well get a coffee. It was quite terrible. The beans were really sour and acidic. This store called Dough has a lot of streetwear select. They carry a lot of stuff that I can't find in Singapore, but price is way out of my budget, so I didn't get anything. Then we took a bus to this street that houses a lot of the curated female vintage stores. And our first stop is Swing Vintage. They have 2 different stores right across the street. I would say their curation for accessories is what kind of stands out. There's a lot of unique rings, necklaces, bracelets, and they're done by a Chinese indie designer. Price point isn't too bad for what you would expect for jewelry. It's in the hundreds. For clothing, they do have quite a unique curation of different vintage brands as well as Chinese independent designers. Prices on this entire street are on the higher end and honestly borderline overpriced if you ask me. So only come here if you have a budget or if you already have something you're looking for. And I found this bandana that wasn't even branded or anything, and it should be the cheapest thing in the entire vintage store, which it was, but it cost around 500 plus yuan. And if you're planning to come to this street, don't come too early because most of the stores only open at 1. And to pass time, we went to this shop that sold curry rice and had some really nice egg noodles. It's not too bad, do try it out if you're in the area. Then we went back to shopping where we chanced upon this store, where I realized that a lot of them like Vivienne Westwood. And this store I thought was quite unique because the store owner mentioned that a lot of the garments are hand-dyed by her daughter. And this self-service shop had a nice curation of men's clothing, but it was really overpriced. And this store itself had a really nice curation of this kind of mesh tops, some of it from Jean-Paul Gaultier. But again, the prices here are really crazy. Like I've seen a few JPG tops costing for only a fraction of the price. But they had a lot of these cute looking bags. But yeah, in general, this street, come only if you have deep pockets or if you already have something you're looking for. You can just search one of these stores and just make your way down. It's one straight and simple path where you literally bump into a vintage curated store along every 5 steps or so. I know this doesn't look very appetizing, but trust me, it's really good. It's called Kao Leng Mian, and this is the best one I had in China. And we went to this place called Tak Siu, the Broken Dagger, where the food was not too bad, but the salad was really good. And they gave us this free popcorn chicken and fries for 打卡收藏 on Dianping. And on the same app Dianping, we bought this 6 cocktail package, where it only cost us 950 SGD for a single cocktail. The bartender was really meticulous about every single drink, and it ended off with this kind of like mystery cocktail where he kind of crafted something based on our drinking frequency and what we ordered for food. And these are easily the best cocktails I've ever had. Like, they were potent enough and they tasted really good. You have to come here if you visit Shanghai. And to end off our trip, we had to try this highly rated hole-in-the-wall jianping. Honestly, it doesn't look like much or very appetizing to be honest, but this is easily the best jianping I've had. The sauce that they use is really unique and quite peanutty. And we took the maglev from the city to Pudong Airport, which was a lot faster. It took us about 10 minutes just to get there. So that's kind of all the places that we've visited in Shanghai, and I gotta say that shopping in Shanghai is really expensive, especially if you compare it to places like Guangzhou where a lot of the clothes are fractionally cheaper. But the food here is really great, so if you're planning a trip, I would suggest to make a few different stops within China itself. Take the Gautier, it's really fast, it's quite affordable. If you found the video useful, do leave a like, share, or even comment down below, and maybe save this video for the next time you're visiting China. Thank you all for watching the video, and goodbye.